Welcome back. This is TV3Newday. You can join us via social media. In fact, we're streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana and also on Twitter and Instagram. And you can watch us on DSTV channel 279. Let us know what your thoughts and opinions on the issues we're about to discuss would be. The hashtag is TV3Newday. This is a big issue. It's proudly brought to you by Niche Chocolate and Niche Cocoa Drink. If you haven't tried the cocoa drink yet, maybe it's time for you to give it a try. They have the 50 ml bottle, and it's very portable, just like the Tetra Pak as well. Wherever you're going, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, you need something to just, kill the hunger, then definitely it is what you should go for. It has all the nutrients, the vitamins, and it tastes really, really good. Made from 100% cocoa, and it's 100% Ghanaian owned as well. So please grab one for yourself, enjoy it, and you can give us feedback as well. Already, Conway says he loves the Niche chocolate and cocoa drink. They also have the sachet, so if it's just hot water that you have, no worries at all. Don't worry about milk, sugar, and all that, because once you pour the sachet into it, you are good. You need an invoice?
I'll be bringing an invoice.
You'll be bringing invoice because you said you like it. So that's an endorsement. But you do, don't you? Good morning to my guest this morning. And I have in the studio, of course, I've already mentioned Comrade, so I might as well introduce him first. Comrade Murtala Mohammed is the MP for Tamale Central. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, we can't complain actually. Because if you complain, then you no longer complain. It becomes monotonous.
Oh, but aren't things getting better?
As a matter of fact, things are getting worse.
Really? You hold on.
Kabila will agree with me.
Would he?
Of course.
I don't know if he does, but let me introduce him officially as well. Come now, Bonford Jr. is the managing editor of the National Forum newspaper. Good morning.
Good morning, Bella.
How are you doing?
Grace abounds, and it's always great to be on your show. I like to just tell my brother and our viewers a statement that we have in the Mo Dega proverbial system, Sirwenya. And what it simply means is that it is only the dead that is poor.
Okay,
It is only Sirwenya. It's only the dead that is indeed poor. Once you have life, there is hope. And we live on hope.
So things will get better. That's in short what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
Okay.
What has the conditions got to do with poverty?
Things can get better. And Bella, you know?
Sirwenya.
Yes, Sirwenya.
Sirwenya. Okay, all right. I hear you. Anyway,
Bella,
Kofi Tonto is here to...
Allow her.
Our disastrous living conditions got to do with poverty.
Oh,
you can be rich but not happy.
Is that what you are?
No, I'm saying that...
Rich but unhappy?
He's attributing my unhappiness to riches. Because he said because he said poverty.
It's
Poverty,
only the dead who are poor.
No, but I'm saying
or who
that
remain poor. But once you are alive, there's hope.
You should be concerned about the conditions. You should be concerned about the conditions of our neighbors. If you are enjoying our neighbors,
he used to be the head of the PR side of the U.S. Embassy. He's here with us representing the MPP. Good morning.
The U.S. Embassy,
sorry, the Ghana Embassy in the U.S. Pardon me. Ghana Embassy in the U.S.
So I'm a former head of information and public affairs.
Okay.
At the Ghana's embassy in Washington, D.C.
Then, as for your life has been good.
Life has been
jump.
good.
It's still good for you.
You can see it in him.
Oh, you can tell?
Yeah.
How can you tell?
You can tell what?
I say you can see it in you.
Oh.
How can you tell that he?
My life has been very challenging for me. I grew up in the States, but I've been working since the age of 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Ghana, is life okay for you?
Oh, life is fine. I mean, we find ourselves in challenging times, but that's not to say.
It's still fine.
As my senior brother said, hope abounds.
Which hope?
Of course. So I mean, I'm definitely fine. We are all praying for the best. We definitely feel the pains of the average or the day-to-day Ghanaian, and so we share in that sentiment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's cross over now to the phone line. We'll speak quickly to the Chief Investigator of CDD Ghana, Mavis Zupok Dom from Afrobarometer Ghana, and of course she'll be speaking to us on this new reports that they have put out concerning the perceived corruption in the country and the fact that the police remains number one when it comes to the institution that's perceived the most corrupt, followed by the Office of the Presidency, members of Parliament, and the judiciary. Good morning, Mavis.
Good morning, and good morning to your guest.
Good to hear from you. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, thank you very much. So the report says that this investigation was conducted sometime in April this year?
Yes, between 4th of April and 20th of April.
But what period were you covering exactly? Was it from, because I remember that the last report that I saw was in 2019. That also put the Ghana Police Service as #1 in terms of the institution that's the most perceived as corrupt. But between that time and now, is that when this study was conducted, or was there like a time limit to it?
So Afrobarometer conducts a survey every 2 years, and perhaps a 3rd year, depending on the circumstances in the country, whether there's unrest or it's an election year. We do not conduct surveys in the election year.
Okay.
So it's every 2 years. So the last round of surveys across the African countries was in 2019, and we are in our 9th round. Afrobarometer started in 1999, taking public opinion on policy issues, including governance, democracy, economic issue, quality of life across the country. And so we are in the 9th round of surveys. And basically, as we always say, the purpose is to give voices to the public, the citizens, to make inputs into these issues and inform policy. And so for Ghana, since round 5, we have had a sample size of 2,400, and that gives us a margin of error plus or minus 2. So for this round of surveys we conducted this year, in April, some of the questions vary, as I say. So for some of the questions, it does not have a year limit. For instance, for the question on trust and then perception on who is corrupt, does not have a year limit. But if you look at some of the questions, they do have within 12-month period to it.
Were there any surprises in the responses that you got? I mean, again, on the back of the police being the #1 corrupt institution, that already occurred in 2019. So I don't think that this was too surprising in 2022 that even though you were asking, another 2,400 people that were sampled, they still said the Ghana police was corrupt. But were there any other surprises in the survey?
Of course, there were surprises. If you look at it, in the top 3, usually we wouldn't have the Office of the Presidency. For example, we haven't had the Office of the Presidency come in on top of the top 3. So that is a bit surprising, so to say. So it's surprising and a cause for concern. Yeah.
A cause for concern. This was more a qualitative research, I suppose.
It's a quantitative research.
It's quantitative, not qualitative.
Yes.
So there was no room to ask further questions as to why they thought the presidency was...
No, in Afrobarometer, we did not ask the question of the why. This is your perception or this is your experience. But we do, it's an opinion survey, and we ask mostly close-ended questions. So for this particular question on corruption, the institutions are listed, and then you are asked which of the following do you think is involved in the act of corruption, or you haven't heard enough to say. So about them to say. So the respondents have the option of to say, oh, I haven't heard enough about them, so I don't know much about them, so I can't say much. Or none of them are corrupt, or some of them, some people within the institution are corrupt, or everybody in the institution is corrupt.
What is the expectation of the CDD in putting out the report of this survey? What are they really expecting to be done?
So this is to inform policy, as I mentioned earlier. So these surveys are it's a feedback loop for the government, for society, for donors, for academia, for media to work with, for investors to work with. So this is like giving you feedback to policy issues, to governance issues, to democratic issues, to people's quality of life, what they feel about their quality of life in Ghana, to government and to all the stakeholders, to be able to use them to inform decision-making and policy implementation. So that is our hope, that these findings would be taken up and worked with, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. Mavis Zupok Dome is the Afrobarometer Ghana National Investigator at CDD Ghana. She was just giving us some insight into this. Kofi, I'll start off with you. They're surprised that the Office of the Presidency became number 2 as the institution that's second most corrupt in the country. Are you surprised yourself?
All right. Well, thank you very much. And then let me say a very good morning to your viewers. And then let me say a very good morning to my senior brothers here. First of all, I think we need to say thank you to CDD for doing this. I mean, you cannot run a democratic governance system without feedback. It's important because we as a government, you are here to serve the people. And then so from time to time, you need to go back and get feedback. As a matter of fact, as communicators, our job is not just to talk. Our job is to also listen and bring back feedback. So if you have an institution like the CDD that's made it its core mandate to go to the people, take a sample size of about 2,400, ask them relevant questions to provide the required or requisite feedback, I think it's important, and we have to appreciate it. There's been times where the feedback was positive. If you look at the 2017 Afrobarometer report, it was very positive. Even if you look at the 2020, I don't know if that's Afrobarometer report, but CDD did an election report looking at the president's performance and all of that. It was extremely positive for the government. So if another report comes out and it's not so positive, I think it's only right that we listen to it, go back, and as a government, pay attention to what is driving this perception. But it's important to also note that this is perception. This is not incidence of corruption. This is what people perceive you to be.
But you don't perceive in a vacuum.
Of course.
Exactly.
But you can perceive based on false information, for example. And I can give you several examples. Recently, there was a report that said government has squandered $12 billion, according to the Auditor General's report. My brother here, they went to town with it, misinforming Ghanaians that the government has squandered $12 billion. It turns out that is not the case. It's not the case that the government has squandered $12 billion. But what the Auditor General report was doing was to look at a time period from 2014, 16 to 2020, and saying that that's the fact. I mean,
2017 audit.
No, it wasn't 2017, please. It wasn't. It was a time period. No, it wasn't. Oh, my brother, let me go. It was a time period. Whether 2016, 17, the bottom line is that it was a time period, and the report captured irregularities, tax irregularities, cash irregularities, monies that were advanced to civil servants as loans, rents, contract irregularities. But it wasn't money that the government took and squandered. For example, when I was at the embassy, we used to travel all the time. So I could be cited for cash irregularities because there are instances where I will not be present and I haven't reported on my expenditure. Auditor General doesn't care. They will still record this as though there is some irregularity. But even though I'll go back and make the correction. There was another issue where they brought up and said the government has squandered 50 billion because of the... Again, that wasn't a case of the Auditor General saying we've squandered 50 billion. It was a case of monies that go to the banks that have to be remitted to the central government, which delayed because by law, banks have to remit the money within 48 hours. Some transactional or technical errors, they aren't able to do that. So it takes time. Auditor General will still flag it. But then they went to town with it. Then just 2 days ago, Atuforsin came out and said government has printed 22 billion. Complete lies. So my point is that...
They still insist that...
No, they can't insist. It's not a matter of insisting. They haven't provided any evidence, none whatsoever. Bank of Ghana has come out with the true validation of what transpired. They can't insist. People just can't wish and out of their whims say whatever they want. You have to provide empirical evidence, and there is none. The empirical evidence, however, supports that there were transactions that were made, overdrafts, which the law allows. But they went to town. This is a person who has been a deputy finance minister, ranking member on the finance committee, but did that. So my point is that, yes, perception is important. We accept it. It's very good feedback. As a government, we need to go back and figure out what is driving this perception. But it is important to also let Ghanaians know that some of these things which inform their opinion are based on cooked and deliberate lies.
Would you say same about the Ghana Police Service? The fact that constantly they have emerged number one, and you could say that this could be a perception, index.
Now let me tell you something.
But last week there was a Ghana Statistical Service, survey that was also done, and that was not based on perception.
No, that was
based on 15,000 households and how many times they had paid bribes to what public institutions, and so this was based on these people's experiences.
No, of course, I was actually coming to that. We
won't see anyone saying that is just a perception.
Bella, I was actually coming to that. Wrong. There's a clear indication or difference between perception and incidence. The Ghana Statistical Services report reported on transactions, people making transactions. That's completely different from me sitting here and saying that Bella is looking beautiful, therefore, that's not the same. Bella, do you know how many times people have said, and with all due respect, I'm using it as an example, that TV3 is an annex of NDC?
That's not true, by the way.
No, of course, but that's perception. Because you put up spirited stories against, or not against, critical of the government. You are doing your job. Do you know how many times, even you, Bella, people have accused you? Does that make it true? So let's be very clear that perception is perception. Facts are facts. The Ghana Statistical Services report was factual. And it talks about which institutions. You mentioned police. Police is appearing here.
So then in this case, how do we
the case is that because one institution is perceived and then is also caught in the actual incidents. Clear distinction.
But if they keep repeating in all these reports,
who keeps repeating?
The Ghana Police Service, for example.
But all institutions cannot be the same.
Can we then conclude that the Ghana Police Service, of course, if they remain number one in all these surveys, then they really are correct? But then when it comes to... No, I'm asking you that question. But when it comes to the Office of the Presidency, just because they did not necessarily appear in the
First of all, Bella, the people who work at the Office of the...
This perception is wrong?
First of all, Bella, the people who work at the Office of the President are not only politicians. You know that. There are military people there, there are police personnel there, there are civil servants and public service officers there, and then there are politicians there. The survey doesn't indicate if it was the politician or the police or the military or anything. So I'm not disputing that people have a perception of. I'm saying that we accept it, we work on it. But I'm telling you that the difference here is police is perceived and then there is actionable evidence that they actually collected. That's a clear distinction. So, and not just the police. You see, I don't know if we've accorded the same degree of relevance to it. Because if you look at it here, it says police. Oh, I can't blow up this.
Which one are you looking at?
The Ghana Statistical Services.
So, Ghana Immigration Service.
Ghana Immigration.
Yes, was in there as well.
GRA, Lands Commission. And then they come to how much some of the institutions are collecting. Lands Commission is collecting the most. 1,669 Ghana cedis as bribe. Even here, it may favor police because they only collect about 250 cedis. But the point I am making is this. When you look at an opposition that has made a concerted effort to destroy a government, Honorable Haruna Idris is on record to have said that he and his NDC MPs are going to do everything to stifle the government in its revenue mobilization exercise. So they have a clear attempt to make sure that they destroy the government. When you have that, and that's fine. That's the opposition.
Did he say that?
Oh, my brother, he's on tape.
Did he say?
I said he's on tape.
Use the words you just used.
Oh, okay. You want me to paraphrase? Okay, I'm paraphrasing. What are you talking about?
Did he say
what are the things? I'm saying that. Did you not block E-levy? So, did you not make a spirited attempt to say that you won't make the financial mobilization exercise successful? He said that he went to his hometown and said he's on record. It's on tape. I've already said what he said. But the point I am making is this. Government must respect the views of the people, whether perceived or not. And therefore, I will urge government to take this issue very seriously, because there are instances, as I've already cited, where CDD report was favorable to us. And we took it in good strides. If it is not favorable to us, we must take it in good strides and go back and work on it. But I want to emphasize that perception is not an actuality. It's what people perceive. And especially if you have people like Muntala, whose bread and butter is to paint people bad, then of course the perception will be... When you say bread and butter is to paint people bad, that's unfair to him. Come on. I mean, if he's criticizing, how do you say that that's what he focuses on? But criticism is fine, but you can deliberately do propaganda with your criticism. I've cited 3 examples to you here that he and his colleagues have sat on Prime TV and propagated. Look. But is it the NDC that's taking Ghana to IMF? No, it's not. No, Bella, let's not change the topic. The topic is this. We have an opposition that sat or stood in front of Parliament and said Ghana has printed 22 billion. What I am expecting is that media will hold the opposition accountable to bring more than just rhetorics, evidence that says, here is the fact. But people, this is a group of people who run expert services in churning out propaganda without any form of evidence. And I've given you 3 examples. Okay. So let me bring Comrade in. Is it not interesting that in the 2019 report, members of parliament appeared as the 3rd perceived most corrupt institution, and in this recent report as well, they have also maintained that same position as 3rd perceived most corrupt institution? Is that not an indictment on the members of parliament? Or would you also go on that tangent and say that this is just a perception and it could be wrong? Bella, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to my brother. I'm told he looks like me. Yes. Oh, sorry. I'm not too sure how. I don't see it. I'm not too sure how true it is. But if he but does, there's more hair. If he does, welcome to the family of nice-looking men. So, would you name him Operator? Since you said you had adopted a new name. I mean, myself and Kabila have come a long, long way. And that's one thing many people do not know. Aside the fact that we're all student activists. Or activists. We virtually agreed on many things until recently, when there have been tremendous disagreements. And it's understandable. We can all belong to one thing. And good morning to my little I was brother. Waiting. You said 2 fine gentlemen. I was you are the nicest gentleman because you chop more money than any of us. Is that what perception is? Perception is And good morning to your cherished viewers and, of course, the good people of Tamale Central. Listening to my brother and he going direct on me, on the NDC, I wasn't surprised, because what I could only understand is that this is a desperate attempt to defend the unacceptable level of not just corruption, thievery, in which he is an active participant. And therefore, you don't expect him to agree with the findings of the CDD. He must defend it. And I can understand the desperation to defend this robbery that we have been subjected to. But if you say he's an active participant... He's part of this government. He's an active participant of those who have plunged this nation to the state in which it is. So he can never, under any circumstance, be seen, condemning the robbery that we experience under this government. And that is... Robbery is quite a strong word. In fact, it is quite a strong word. I was even looking for the appropriate words to use. If there's any I don't think you'll take it lightly if he mentioned that the NDC had robbed the nation of its resources. Why? They call the NDC thieves. If maybe he wasn't in Ghana. Even in Parliament. They call the NDC thieves. So please, you see, sometimes I listen to him, Bella. Just allow me to make my point. So you don't expect him to condemn it. You expect him to desperately defend the indefensible. And he started by talking about the fact that this is what Honorable Haruna said. It is only the mouth that lies, but the heart knows the truth. And that is why I was asking him to tell me whether Honorable Haruna actually said
use the words he used. And I said, do you want me to paraphrase? No, I was just asking whether he used those words. But I think that what Honorable Haruna Idrisu said, which was played, is out there. You see, this man, Malcolm X once said that I am for truth, no matter who says it. I am for justice, no matter who is it for or against. I'm a human being first and foremost. As such, I'm for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole. Now, he gloated over the fact that the CDD report about this government in 2017 was a positive one. Of course, it will be a positive one because you won the 2016 elections at the back of the very things you are standing to condemn now. The allegations of corruption against the NDC was also perception. Your president, your presidential candidate for the 2016 election went to town with it and peddled absolute falsehood. And I'll give you an example of the falsehood he peddled. You remember about the printing of the brochure? You remember about the Kaswa interchange? He had his own member of parliament who told him straight that he was lying about the overbloated Kaswa interchange. So I'm saying that it is not surprising. In any case, you talk about what the minority said with regards to the printing of money. And then the Bank of Ghana responded. And he sat here without any shred of evidence and says that it means that the minority lied. When even you reminded him, the minority still stands by the statements they made that the Bank of Ghana printed money. There should be an establishment whether what the Bank of Ghana is saying or what the minority is saying is the truth. Until such establishment is done, you cannot conclude that the minority lied.
So we're waiting for the evidence from the minority.
The minority maintained. You see that there are three sides to every story. He may not like reggae. I know myself and my friend, we like reggae. Joseph Hill says that there are three sides to every story. Your side, my side, and the truth. You have listened to the two sides. We haven't established the truth. And he concluded with alacrity that, yes, we lied. Once again, the fact that...
your side is also insisting that the response from the Bank of Ghana...
So that is why journalists like you, and if he had called, that get into the matter. Hold on. Please, I listen to you. If you people get into it to establish the truth or otherwise, now that will then give him the license to go to town with that. So that claim you have made is a lie. So if there is anybody who has lied, then it is you this morning because you have lied based on the response given by the Bank of Ghana. I have listened to a professor this morning on multimedia, Joy FM on my way, which they said that yes, there could be a printing of money without necessarily printing physical cash. Mind you, in the financial world, if you like, to a very large extent, they don't deal with even fiscal cash because it's the books. So if there is a printing of money, there could be other explanations to it. So until such is established, you can. Again, he also peddled another falsehood when he said that the claim that government misappropriated about 12 billion and that the end is, who is government? Who is government? And he's talking about the fact that civil servants and public servants who did. That is government. Please, I'm saying it's lost.
It's not lost.
It's lost. You see, I am a member of the Public Accounts Committee. When you appear before the committee, you are supposed to do A, B, C, D. You haven't provided the necessary documentation to take care of that. It's a loss of money. If there is a value, you may not necessarily spend that money. But we cannot. You can't account for it. It's a loss of money. So have a proper appreciation when we talk about loss of money. And in fact, in even presenting the report on the floor, the chairman still maintained, and which was not contested, by the way, by your colleagues. So when we say government, we are not saying the presidency. I have been saying here, and I am happy that I have been vindicated by the CDD. This is not the first time CDD is doing this. According to the woman, this is about the ninth time that they are doing it. And all the times they do, it's been perception. When you went to town with the same CDD report about the NDC government, was it not perception? Okay, hot water can be taken as a meal by the NDC, but you will not take it as a meal.
So you're saying that whether perception or not, that is the reality.
Absolutely.
So does it mean that MPs indeed
I am coming,
Bella,
I would answer that. When you ask him, he didn't dwell on MPs. He focused on the...
Yes, but you are an MP, which is why I'm asking
I will
you
come
that
to
question.
that. When you ask him the question, he focused on a desperate attempt to defend the mess that he is an active participant. I will not run away from the MPs. I agree absolutely with the report presented by the CDD. It will be hypocritical for me to one breath say that even though it is perception with the MPs, it is not true. Corruption permeates, but I'm saying the danger, and even the woman herself admitted, that when you ask her whether they were surprised, the presidency I have been saying here that the Flagstaff House has become the citadel for corruption. I have been saying it. And you remember the first time I made this statement on this program, you guys had problem with it. When I said that the Flagstaff House has become the citadel. In fact, the president is corruption Mukenkong. And he is an active participant. If you listen to a lawyer, Martin Kwebu, over the weekend,
that statement,
please,
and
it doesn't matter whether he retracted. Martin Kwebu is one of the brilliant lawyers and an independent-minded person. Of course, when he made allegations against the NDC, we never forced him to retract, and he never retracted. So whether he retracted or not, we will maintain on that. And he said that the president is a participant in the thievery that goes on in this country. I mean, they have the temerity to even talk about corruption. You should be begging the people of this country. Look, the reason why the 2017 report was favorable, you won the election at the back of allegations of corruption against President Mahama without a scintilla of evidence. Your people went to town and said that President Mahama had built hotels in Dubai. Have you ever provided any evidence of those hotels President Mahama built in Dubai? You went to town, and in fact, these lies were led by the president, then the candidate. And I've given you two examples. When he appeared before the cameras and peddled those falsehoods, when he knew in the heart of his heart that what the things you were saying about President Mahama were absolutely not only magnified, but they were cooked, perhaps at the residence in Nima.
We cannot say that for a fact.
I'm saying that perhaps at the residence in Nima. Today, the lies have been cooked not just at the residence in Nima, they are cooked at the seat of Presidency.
Allegedly.
And why the CD? Why are you now saying that the CDD reports is something we shouldn't take? People have also talked about the sampling size. They are now questioning the sampling size. They are now questioning why they are not using qualitative and using quantitative. They have been consistent on this matter. That is the danger. When you have the seat of president itself to be accused for corruption in such a legendary fashion, it is a worry. So I can understand sometimes the desperation. You see,
how different is it from MPs? How different is it from judges?
I am saying that, you see, that is even the word. Look, I would not say that the reports that MPs are corrupt is not true. I won't say that. I won't say, of course, there could be MPs who will be fantastically corrupt.
Are you corrupt?
I am not.
You've never?
Look, I am not corrupt. I have never been, and I will never be. I have worked, please, I have worked as NYP Deputy National Coordinator, and for the purposes of certainty. Go and read Manasseh's book on corruption. He singled me out for praises. Go to University of Ghana, and he knows, Kabila knows, the position myself and he, we all took on issues of corruption against student leaders. University of Ghana at the SRC, and I'll give you examples. Ask the something like the Ayenini, ask John Kuma. Ask John Kuma, the Deputy Minister for Finance. When they wanted people to investigate corruption in the SRC, they all unanimously chose me, and there wasn't a single contest
but that
to
was
investigate.
Then.
I'm coming. I'm saying that Manasseh singled me out for praises in his books of corruption, and that he didn't just do that. I never participated in the book launch. He provided evidences about my position. I have worked as a deputy minister for 4 years. If there is any businessman in this country that I dealt with who says I've ever given Mutala 1 cedi for corruption, that businessman should come. So I'm saying that some of us can talk about corruption, but your entire government has no moral leg to stand to talk about corruption. So I am saying,
but that's not fair.
It is absolutely fair.
If you say the entire government, there may be people in there who may be corrupt.
The fish is
there
rotting.
May be those who may not.
Please. Why? Have we ever had an
accusation?
Have you ever had an accusation of the presidency to be engaged in a corruption in matter? The woman herself says that this is surprising. This is surprising. It is surprising to those who did the research, to many people. It is not surprising to those of us who think that the presidency has become the citadel for corruption. They have the moral right to even talk about corruption. All the allegations they leveled against President Mahama. In fact, in Parliament, they were holding placards saying, thief. Nobody saw that to be a problem. President Mahama, you can throw anything at him. When you have independent bodies, and the last time I checked, the CDD have never been friends to the NDC. In fact, if they have friends within our political divide, it should be your party. The CDD consistently have identified this government to be corrupt. The last CDD report, they said that the level of corruption in this country was unprecedented. Unprecedented. So if we want to look at corruption, let's look at it entirely. My worry has to do with the judiciary. I have said on this platform that the judiciary is corrupt, fantastically corrupt. And it is not the first time. You had the former Chief Justice, Justice Georgina Wood, who herself publicly stated that there was corruption in the judiciary. The worrying aspects of the corruption in the judiciary is that they have a very privileged position to dispense justice, so that if you have even politicians engaged in this corrupt act, they must be in a position to ensure that that is nipped at the bud. Unfortunately, they have been consistently cited to be engaged in this corruption. And for me, that is worrying.
Okay. Let me bring Kabila in to respond to this. I mean, perception or not, they are corrupt, and that is what a lot of people are saying, that once I perceive, that means that you really are corrupt. What do we do to move forward? Because at this point, we're pointing accusing fingers at everyone and saying, you are corrupt, I'm not corrupt, you're not corrupt. But really, the most important thing, which is what I asked Mavis this morning, what was the main aim of this? And it's to get the people who are responsible for ensuring that corruption is reduced to the barest minimum are to do their work. What do you say to all of this?
Bella, very good morning to our cherished viewers. And any close watcher of these morning's discussion would know that it is not a new conversation in terms of perceptions or this view that is held about us as a people, our government, in the executive arm, in the judicial arm, in the legislature, and of course, the fourth estate of the realm, the media, the police administration or police service come under the executive arm of government by way of their law enforcement duties and responsibilities. I haven't had the opportunity to read the report,
okay,
and by that study the methodology used. And as a student researcher, the heart of every study is its methodology. That is when you can understand, as you were talking in very generic terms, whether it was qualitative or quantitative. But that is even more broad. What kind of quantitative study was it? The methods that were used, the instruments that were highlighted, what kind of questions were asked, the sampling procedure. These are all issues that, for academic purposes, you can appreciate. They
said they issued standard questionnaires and allowed comparisons across.
Exactly, but I'm saying that I haven't had the time to see.
Okay.
So what we are discussing, per what your producer sent to me, is a news drawn out of the report by a media house. Let's not run away from the fact that there have been times when reports have been misrepresented by media houses in this country. And some of them have had cause to even respond back and say, no, this is not what exactly what we said, and so on and so forth. There are also the issues of, research bias here and there. In fact, in 2005, a professor at the Stanford Medical School, his name is John Ioannidis. He published what was titled, "Why Most Published Research Findings Are False." And in recent times, there are a lot of academic journals discussing the replication crisis, how data is collected, how they are analyzed, their discussions, and the conclusions that are drawn. But Afrobarometer has established itself through the CDD platform as a body consistent with undertaking this study. Of course, the personnel that they deploy or employ in this study may differ from time to time. If we want to interrogate their work over time, you can see that it is not a new thing they are doing or they have done. The idea of perception being reality or reality informed by perception, that is debatable. And I think my two friends have both shown the two sides of that. My brother Mutala would be fair to Ghanaians to tell us the attitude of his government, of which he was a part, when these findings were made by Afrobarometer under their reign.
Can I respond to it?
Oh, I'm not asking you to.
Let him,
I sat here quietly and listened to you.
because you brought me in.
Now, so
You said-
I mentioned the two of you.
You
I'm
brought
going to
me,
mention
I
him
didn't
too.
talk.
No, you said you would want
Okay.
me to.
You allow
If
him.
you
There will
say-
be an
It's
opportunity
rhetoric.
later.
Oh, rhetoric.
Okay.
No, because he
Because
said, my brother Mutala,
because
I want him to tell
the
you.
fact of the matter is that the NDC as a corporate entity, the government under both Professor J.A. Mills the late and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama never took kindly to those reports.
That's not true. That's a false. And I can give you quotations. That is
In fact,
absolutely false.
Bella,
That's
in
not
fact,
true.
Bella,
Okay, you hold on. You
in fact,
respond to
Bella,
it.
the attitude and the posturing of the government at the time is exactly what my brother Mutala has manifested here.
That's not
that
true.
the CDD and all these think tanks were aligned to the MPP.
How did I manifest that?
Oh, you just said
You-
it, that
you mentioned it when you were- that there was that
CDD
concern
had
at that
any
time.
link to any political
Yeah.
party. Most of them are friends.
Yes,
to
I
NDC.
said, yeah,
But
if.
bro,
But when you say I
when
manifest
you were
that, what do you mean?
talking, I said you manifested the attitude of your government when
No,
you
no,
were in
that's
power,
wrong.
and these reports were brought.
Anyway,
but
proceed.
you see, I sat here quietly
Sorry.
and you went
Please
through,
carry
so
on.
allow me to flow. My point is that governments will definitely be concerned and agitated when these reports are brought out. It's only an insensitive government that will say that nothing has been said. So I am not also faulting you for those agitations. You question them, and it is right to question them. What I'm alluding to here is that you can question even research conclusions. There's nothing wrong with that. However, in questioning research outcomes or research processes, you must be standing on something fundamental. Is it their method you think is wrong? Is it the analysis that you think is all right? Is it their conclusion or what? Is it a bias that you are accusing them? Because these issues of conflict of interest that we talk about, it is also in research. That is why there's declaration of interest at the end of any proper research conducted. So I want to make this as a preliminary observation. But you see, Bella, we muse around some of these things. Are we not all concerned and worried that as a people, we think that corruption is endemic in our country? And we have discussed these things most of the time without evidence. And that is where Kofi's argument comes in. We've lied. I sit here. I'm a victim of lies. In fact, there was an attempt to even accuse me in a role I once played when I was in partisan politics. It ended up in court. The very people who took me to court were now running out and accusing me of delaying the process in court when I was there to challenge and acquit myself. So it's a delicate thing. And for me, it raises the fundamental issue I have with our public sphere.
Which is?
The insincerity with which we discuss national issues. The hypocrisy.
How so?
How so? Today, based on where I stand, I may see nothing wrong with this Afrobarometer report. Because it falls and syncs with my agenda and my propaganda. On the other side, I am against everything in that report because of where I'm standing today. Let the tables turn. And the same people now switch positions. I'm asking, where is the consistency? You cannot throw away the baby with the bathwater and say that you have done anything right. And Bella, take this from me. You don't get cured of your cancer by going around with a long pen and a big book listing all other cancer patients in the world. It won't cure you of your cancer. Unfortunately, we seem to be doing that in our Ghanaian political sphere. Going around, making a long list of other cancer patients in the hope that we will be cured of our cancerous nature. It is killing the nation Ghana. The people who corrupt the police, the people who admit in such surveys that they gave bribe to the police, how innocent are they?
But that is why this report is coming out, because something needs to be done about
But
it.
Bernard, exactly the point I'm driving at. That we are looking at the target of these reports. Where it emanates must also be of interest to us. And even issues about participant sincerity. where the questionnaire has been administered all right, in this kind of study. The responses, whether they are indeed sincerely given, is another issue. Because there are also available evidence in the research world where participants have lied because they think that the researcher is aiming at this. So we must provide them the kind of answers that they want.
But in that case, let's just say that you were one of the respondents. Of course, when it comes to responding to some of these researches, we're told that there has to be privacy. You don't have to let people know where you stand on those things. And it's also incumbent on the research team to ensure that the privacy of those people is respected. But let's just say, exactly. But in your case, if they asked you that out of all these institutions, which ones do you think are the most corrupt? Would you likely say the executive, the legislature, the judiciary are part of the top most corrupt institutions?
I would decline such a vague and ungrounded question.
Why?
Because it is vague. What do you mean by corrupt?
But if it's a qualitative study and it allows room for follow-up questions as well, would you not wait and see those questions?
So Bella, that is why I said that. That is why, you see, there's something in research we call power relations. Even the capacity of the participant is important. What kind of question are you asking me? You and I have been on this platform that there have been many times that we have gone back and forth on questions that you have posed to me. You may not get that with other people. Or you end up, like people, you get some panelists who will answer every question you throw at them. Right? You have some panelists, of course, like me, who will give you a difficult time with the kind of questions that you pose to me. That is me. I'm saying that in that same breath, even the world of research, the kind of questions that you ask and the kind of responses that you get from for those kind of questions is an issue. But for me, the bottom line is that as a people, we are all concerned about these things, whether it is based on research by Afrobarometer or not. We are concerned with issues of corruption. Corruption here, for me, means more than just a financial thing. In our churches, pastors who get up and misinterpret the Bible. Malams who get up and misinterpret the Quran.
That's the reason why you now have religious books in your car. I've just seen one and I wonder.
Land on this for me so we can take a break.
So I'm saying that as a people, we are what we choose to be.
Okay.
And if we are not comfortable with our, perception of ourselves, we have to change from top to bottom.
Okay.
Within political parties, you see, all these issues are there. But I don't know whether they included political parties.
No.
And the perceptions that are there and what informed that. You understand?
No.
So for me, I want to conclude on this.
Political parties.
The report findings are targeted. We know of the targets. We should be concerned about where these findings emanated from.
We should be concerned about that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because in our courts, it's conclusive in Ghana that in issues of bribery, for example, the giver and the taker are equally liable.
Yeah.
The last time Ghanaians were questioned about the performance of President Akufo-Addo on the whole was in the 2020 general elections. Ghanaians gave him an emphatic yes.
It was not emphatic.
He won.
It was not emphatic. It was
the
robbed.
elections didn't go into a runoff.
It was robbed.
He won first round. You went to Supreme Court and spent time wasting everybody's time.
So you are not sure.
But even if he won,
your
the
people
number of
even
people that
accuse the Electoral
voted
Commission
for
of
the
not.
NPP in the 2016 elections.
Bella, what I'm saying is this.
Bella,
what I'm saying is this. You see, please, let's listen to ourselves. Last week, Sweeney said something that was very revealing.
Sweeney is not here.
That when we are on this set, the audience listening to us, there are those who may be intellectually better than us. There are those that may be equal to us. There may be those that are beneath us. But even this, there are nuanced positions along the line. So it is not just about me and what I feel I know. It's also about how I measure what I put out. That is why I began by saying that I'm not the one saying it. Any student, basic student of research, knows that the quality of any research any research finding is contingent on the quality of the methodology.
But in this case,
hold on.
regardless of the research,
Hold on.
the media has interviewed Ghanaians over time. A large number of them are saying, I'm not happy. But over time, how can I count how many Ghanaians?
But that's the issue.
I'm saying that regardless, away from a study, Ghanaians have said over time that they are not happy with the performance of the president. Otherwise, the president should have gotten almost close to the number of people who voted for him in 2016. But in 20...
Why so?
No, but in 20...
Why do you make that conclusion?
But if that's the case, then does it not mean that Ghanaians are not too happy with the president, which is why only an extra 500,000 people...
I am not going to debate. I'm refusing that debate because I'm saying that empirically, what we have to base any argument on is the data of the general elections in 2020.
Kabila.
And if you are using, please stop this.
Why are you getting
angry? When you were talking, I'm not getting angry, but it is not fair.
My time is up. I want you
it's
to,
not fair.
I want you to
but
make
why
this
do you want to cry?
Let me make my point. No, when you do that, it is not fair.
Kabila, please carry on.
Bella, I have my views and my dissatisfaction about the performance of President Akufo-Addo. I'm not happy with certain things. I mean, I sit here and I can do that. But when you make the statement that Ghanaians, I am saying that you have to be measured with that statement because you haven't conducted a proper study to conclude. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just...
When I say that away from research, if we
interview Ghanaians, if you say interview Ghanaians,
a larger number of the people that have been interviewed have said they are not happy with the economic situation.
Yes, it is still falling within the framework of a research or a study when you say those that you have interviewed. And so, if you talk about what number of people did you interview?
How do we count the number of people we have interviewed?
You are speaking to individuals.
No, but how do we count? It's been how many years of reporting on the economy?
Can you not count? If you want, that's what I'm saying, that you have not done that. So let's be measured with our conclusions.
Okay.
Bella.
Good. Now, Bella, the point must also be made that it is incumbent on government to learn lessons from some of these conversations.
Okay.
And the lesson is that how are people saying things? If the way we have our conversation is not right, it is incumbent on government to find ways of redirecting national conversation. But the last point I want to make is this. The last point I want to make is this.
So we go.
You see, we are in public space. If we undermine trust and confidence in public governance, all of us, it doesn't matter whether you are a party in government today or you are a party outside. We risk the confidence of the Ghanaians or the people of Ghana in public offices.
All right.
And we all
radio
suffice.
stations and TV stations run surveys. You have leading members of this government who have publicly stated that Ghanaians are not happy with them.
That's why
now he sits here and he's challenging that.
Okay,
leading members of this government.
Bamford Jr. is the managing editor of the National Forum newspaper. Comrade Murtala Mohammed is the MP for Tamale Central. And Kofi Tonto is former head of information and public affairs at the Ghana Embassy in the United States. Let's take a look at some comments. Gentlemen, please, let's take a look at some comments. Good morning, Bella. Comrade Murtala is undefeatedly simple because he always speaks the truth and nothing else. Tamale Central is proud of you. Richman Kabiru. This is not the time for the NPP to be telling us to provide evidence on corruption. Ghanaians are not waiting for CDD to tell us the government is corrupt. The president promised the use of the ANAS principle to curb corruption. What do we see now? All private independent-minded people have been muted. The NPP government is a disappointment. Ni, the fisherman from Osu. Good morning, Bella. As a student, the only regret I have right now is going to start my national service when the country is dying of funds. In fact, working on the streets like Kayaye is far better than doing national service because the allowance is peanuts. You can't say that for a fact. You never know until you're walking in the shoes of a Kayayu. How will I be able to pay my rent while doing my service since the allowance is nothing to write home about? Barristers from Accra, Newtown. Okay, we voted for people to solve our problems, but the mismanagement of the economy has landed us in this hardship. Mustafa Lower Manya Krobo. Bella, good morning. In fact, the presidency should have been first in terms of corruption. Why should the capitalist NPP always want to defend themselves by comparing with the socialist, Democrats, NDC? Better learn from the NDC and let's move forward as a country. Manuel from WA. I wonder why the minority NDC is rather protecting the Dom Kwabenya MP seats. I was hoping we could touch on that. Unfortunately, there's no time. But he says, is it because it favors them in terms of the numbers? they are invariably telling Ghanaians that the MP should be maintained, but she shouldn't be voting, and this is absurd. Politics of convenience, Pani. Blueprints from Esikado Ketan. Please plead on our behalf as newly trained and posted teachers to the government that we're hungry. 7 months and still counting. Please pay us. Okay, so those are the messages that have come in this morning. I'm so sorry if you were expecting that conversation about Honorable Adjasafo. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to touch on that and why the minority insists that her seat should not be declared vacant, as against the majority in Parliament who say they should declare her seat vacant. Why is that so? Maybe tomorrow we'll get into it. But this segment has proudly been brought to you by Niche Cocoa and Niche Chocolate. It's here on the table. You get to see it. It's they have the 750 ml bottle, so you can go for this, you can go for the Tetra Pak, you can go for the sachet, just mix it with hot water. But for this, go ahead and drink it, whether it's cold, warm, or room temperature. You absolutely love it. It has all the vitamins in there. Niche Taste of Ghana, Mutala's favorite. We'll be back.